Hi, today I want to go over Google Slides with you. Google Slides is a presentation tool similar to PowerPoint. It's already integrated with your Google Suite or your G Suite, so it's a great application to use both virtually for online education as well as in person in the classroom. So today we're going to go over how to get things set up, how to work through your presentations, different ways to share that information with your students. So let's start out today by talking about making sure that you're ready to use Google Slides. Here on the screen, you want to make sure you're logged into two things. First, up here in the upper right-hand corner, you want to make sure that you are signed in to your APS account. In this case, mine's Gustafson_K at aps.edu, and that the sync is on. If it's not, that's going to be step one. Once you're sure you're logged into Google Chrome, you then want to make sure that you are logged into your Google account here in Slides. That's going to be here in this lower right-hand corner. Once you've got those two things ready to go, we are ready to get started with Google Slides. All right, so there are three ways to start a new Google slide deck or a new Google slide presentation. The first option is from right here in your Google Drive. Here in Google Drive, if you click New in the upper left-hand corner, you can go to Google Slides, and that will open up a Google Slide presentation. Your other option, or your second option, is here to go to your Google Waffle menu, right here in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that, and Slides is found in here. Your third and final option would be to go to slides.google.com, and that will open up your Google Slide presentation tool. I recommend going this route because it's going to take you right here where you can start a new presentation and look through your templates. All right, now that we've got Google Slides open, we're ready to start our first presentation. Google Slides has a lot of pre-made templates that you can use, or you can set up a blank template. So we'll start out here in the upper right-hand corner by looking at the template gallery. When you open the template gallery, you'll see that you have an Albuquerque Public Schools template library and a general template library. The Albuquerque Public Schools template library only has a couple, but the general template library has quite a few in here that you can use. There are also lots of templates available for download on the internet, so that's always an option if you want. I generally like to start with just a good old-fashioned blank slide. With this blank slide, there's then lots of things I can do, like here on the right, I can add different themes to it if I choose to, or I can just start out with a blank template. All right, so we've got our blank template ready to go. Next thing you need to do is make sure that you are naming your files appropriately so you can find them later. As you use Google more and more, you're going to find that your Google Drive is going to really fill up fast, so having some sort of naming protocol is going to be useful. Two ways you can name files here in Google Slides. Option one is when you title your slide, you can then select this upper left-hand corner and it automatically fills in that slide presentation title. If, however, you don't want your presentation to be named the same thing as it is here, you can click in this box and rename it. All right, a little bit of navigation regarding Google Slides. Here at the top, underneath where you can put in your title, which again, I'll change this to Intro to Google Slides. Underneath this, you have your file toolbar. These are going to be your typical tools like you would find in most applications, like File, Edit, View, etc. If you've used anything like PowerPoint or Word, you're going to be pretty familiar with these. Below that, however, is the Quick Access toolbar. The Quick Access toolbar is going to give you access to some things that are going to be really quite beneficial. For example, here you have the Add a Slide menu. If you click this little down arrow next to the plus sign, you can pick the format for your slide. Conversely, you can just click the plus and it'll add a blank slide to your presentation or a slide that's similar to one of your others. Next to that, you have the undo and the redo buttons. Just like everything else in Google, if you make a mistake, you can always undo it. If you accidentally undo something, you can redo it. We have our print tool, We have our paint formatting tool, which is currently grayed out because I don't have anything painted on here currently. You've got your magnifier. So if you need to zoom in or out to be able to see things a little bit better, that option is there. You have the select tool, which by default is usually on. You have your text box tool, which is going to allow you to add additional tools or text boxes rather into your presentation. I'll undo that one. You have your image inserter. You can upload from the web or your computer. You can search the web. You can use your Google Drives, your photos, etc. for that. We have the shapes tool where we can add in different shapes. And if we add those shapes in, we then can format those up here in the format tool, right? And I can come in and format my different bits and pieces. I have the line tool. This is going to allow me to add a comment. This is something that's very useful if you are working with somebody else's work. You can add a comment over here. And that's something that other people will see, but it's not going to show up when the presentation is presented. You can edit your background here, changing the color or the image if you choose to do that. You have your option to change your layouts here. So for example, on this slide, if I don't want it to be a title slide, I can choose my layouts and switch it over to something completely different. We have our theme option here, which will open this bar. So if your theme bar is missing, you can always open themes there. That's going to bring your themes up. So if you want to choose a different theme, right, we can apply these and it's going to apply it to the whole presentation. Finally, you have your transitions option, which is going to allow you to place transitions between slides. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now that we've got some slides ready to go, let's talk about some basic formatting. In order to format fonts, you first need to make sure your typing has been selected by either double clicking or you can click and highlight. Here in your quick access toolbar, we have some new tools that open. I can change my font. I can change things like bold, italic, underline. I can change my text color right here. I can also add highlights and other things. In addition, I now can also change my text box. If I want to fill my text box with a different color, change the border on it, these are all options that I can do right up here. Again, with the undo button, I can simply go back through and get rid of all those changes if I have done things that I'm not really wanting to do. One of the biggest advantages to Google Slides, like everything in the Google Suite, especially for teachers, is the ability to share your work. Just as in Google Docs, Google Sheets, and other applications, here in the upper right-hand corner, we have the Share button. When we click the Share button, you can choose who to share with. An important thing to note is you are only able to share these to other people with a Gmail account. You can't share it to other emails. So if I share it here with this individual, I can share in 3 different methods. I can share with this person as a viewer, meaning they're only going to be allowed to see the document. They can't make any edits, any comments. All they can do is look at it. I can share it with them as a commenter, which means they can look at it, they can leave me comments, but they can't edit the document itself, or I can add them as an editor. When I add somebody as an editor, I'm giving them full control over my document. I'm allowing them to make any changes, add things, delete things, etc. Once you've chosen who to share it with and you click send, that individual is going to receive an email telling them that you have invited them or you have shared with them a document. They can then see that document and work with it. Another option when sharing your documents is to share with a link. If I click share again, you'll notice here that I have the option to get a link. That link then can be emailed to lots of different people for easy access, or to provide it to a lot of people at once instead of having to go through here and type name after name after name. You will notice, however, that when you send a link, it is restricted only to people in Albuquerque Public Schools. You cannot share it outside of Albuquerque Public Schools, and it gives them viewer access only. To do this, you simply click copy the link. That link is then available to add to your emails. If you want to install content or insert content into your slides, you're going to do that here from the Insert menu. There are lots of different things that you can add. For example, hyperlinks. Let's say that you want your students to go to a specific website. So if I want my students to go to aps.edu, I could add in a text box and say, please go to aps.edu. And then if I highlight the text I want to be the hyperlink, I can go to Insert, and then I am going to choose Link right here. When I choose Link, it asks me where I want to send them to. Here you can see I already have aps.edu chosen. When I apply, now the color has changed. It's become underlined, letting my students know that it's a hyperlink. If my students are working with this presentation, they can click on that and that hyperlink opens right here. I also have the option of adding things like videos. So if I want to insert a video, I can choose Insert Video, and automatically it takes me to YouTube. So I can search for anything that I want to search for. Let's say we'll do a cat video here. And it goes out on YouTube and it searches for all sorts of cat videos. Obviously, you want to do a little research ahead of time. I choose my cute cat video. I choose select, and that cute cat video is put right into place. There are other options here as well, such as being able to insert in your images, audio clips. You can add in an audio clip that you may have on your computer or other things. Here's an audio clip that's in my drive. When I insert that audio clip becomes active. And now my audio clip is running. I can also insert other things like shapes, tables, charts, diagrams, etc. So being able to add in lots of different media types is another great function in Google Slides. As you're working with Google Slides, there may come a time where you realize that there was something you did previously that you wish you had back. In Google, because everything is automatically saved, you can always look back at your version history. To do that, if you come here to File in the upper left-hand corner and you go down here to Version History, see Version History, you can see that here for August 20th, the day I'm making this, here I have videos saved very, very frequently, or not videos, but copies of my presentation. If I select a copy, I can open this copy up, or I can select it and I can restore this version. Now, the downside to restoring a version, of course, is that you back up and the version that you currently have open is gone. So if I choose restore this version, my version backtracks to earlier on in my presentation. If I then want to return to the version that I had previously, again, I simply go to File, Version History, see Version History. When I open this up again, I can go right back to the version that I was working with previously. And now I've got my cats back and all sorts of things. So never panic because you realize, oh, I made a mistake and I deleted something. You can always go back to that. You also have the option of here in your version history option. If you want to go back and open a previous version, but you don't want to delete your current version, you always have the option of making a copy. And that copy then will allow you to bring that other version back, copy things from it, put it on your newest version, and so on. So Google is constantly saving your stuff so that you've always got backups of your files. Let's talk a little bit about transitions and animations. These can be used to enhance your final presentation when it's being viewed by the end user. Transitions are motions that can be added between two slides. An animation is a motion that can be added to content within a slide. Let's start out with transitions. When utilizing transitions, you want to choose the second slide or the slide that will come at the end of the transition. With that slide chosen, you're going to go to Slide, Transitions. That will open the transition window on the side. You then can choose which kind of transition you want to utilize here. So in this case, I'm going to use the cube. Once you've chosen that, you can then choose how fast or slow that transition will work. Once you think you have it set where you want it, you're going to click play. That will then show you what this transition is going to look like to the end user. Hit stop and make the adjustments as necessary. The speed thing really can be an important thing to consider, as that speed can make things better or much worse. Once you have that transition set, you can then move on and do the next one and just continue through that series. I also have the option of applying to all slides, which will now make sure that every slide is going to transition in exactly that same fashion. So if I look at this presentation now, what I will have is my title slide. As I click the buttons, you see that I have the text already animated in. We'll talk about how to do that in a moment. The transitions between the slides are all exactly the same because that's how I set them to be done. I click the little X here in the lower left-hand corner to end the presentation. I hit X. Animations work in basically the same way as transitions. If you go to a slide and you select an object on the slide, you'll see now my motion window has switched to object animations. We still have the slide transitions here, but we've got object animations here. Now in this case, this one is already set to zoom in on click. If I set it back to where it was originally, so I'll trash that one. I will trash that one. So I select the object, I add animation, and then you can choose from any of the animations here. There's a whole bunch here. I know you can't see them all because of my picture. So I'm going to choose fly in from top. Your next step is going to be to choose when you want it to happen. Do you want it to happen when a student clicks a mouse, after the previous animation, or with the previous animation? So in this case, I'll choose after the previous animation. Finally, you have to choose whether you want it to happen by paragraph or not. This is just a single line of text, so that's not going to be important here. I click play, and then I will be able to see how that works. Because it was with previous was chosen, it happened automatically. I go to my next piece, and then I can choose add animation, and I will change this to fly in from bottom. I want this one also to be after previous, so that when I click play now, those two have happened right together. If I were to click stop and then present my slideshow, you will see that automatically those slides come in. It's not transitioning yet because I had my transition set to on click. Let me end my presentation here. We'll come back, and with that transition, if I open that up, those transitions are always going to be clickable, though I'll show you later how you can set these up to run automatically. I did want to take a moment to talk about the difference between animations by paragraph and not. So here on my third slide, you'll see that I've added in just some lorem ipsum, some filler to this slide. When I select this text and come over here to my object animations and choose add animation, I'll go ahead and set this to a fly in from right. And if by paragraph is not checked, this is what it looks like. Everything comes in all at once, all of the bullets. If, on the other hand, I check by paragraph and test it, then you'll see that it comes in one bullet at a time. I happen to have a bulleted list here, but even if you just have separations between your lines, and it says paragraph, but it may be just a sentence at a time, as long as the sentences are spaced out using the enter or return key, then it will animate those in individually. I generally recommend animating by paragraph so that students do not get overwhelmed in their presentations. When developing your presentations for use in the classroom in a face-to-face type environment, you may want to utilize something called the presenter notes. Here at the bottom of the screen, you have your presenter or speaker notes section. If you click in here, you can type the notes that you want to remind yourself to go over with your students. This is a great tool for keeping yourself on track. In addition, when you have the speaker's notes window active here at the bottom, you can come up here to tools and there is a voice type speaker notes. Obviously, you need to make sure that you've got a speaker attached to your computer, or a microphone rather, attached to your computer for this. If I click on that, then you see here a little window comes up that says click to speak. When I click on that, anything that I say gets typed here below into the speaker notes section. As long as I continue to talk, it's going to continue typing for me. To end that, all I have to do is click that little red microphone. As a quick note, you want to make sure you're in a fairly quiet room if you're using this, because I've had the speaker notes pick up things like TV, radio, even my kids down the hall calling for me. So the speaker notes tool can be very useful, but it's only going to be viewable to the presenter in presenter view, which we will talk about next. So your presentation's ready to go. You're ready to present this to students. In order to do that, here in the upper right-hand corner, you have the presentation window. When you click present, you'll notice that your screen goes full screen and things start happening just the way you've set. Now you can click through this just like you would in a presentation. We can show our video by clicking on it. We can click on links and it opens up the page to that link and so on. But there are some really cool presenter tools here that you can utilize as well. When you are in present view, here at the bottom, you have some notes. If you open up the notes, it opens up your presenter view. Now, students will not be able to see this on your Promethean board or whatever the case may be, but here is where you can see your different notes and things that you have made, so on and so forth. I don't have any notes on this slide, but if I go back, so here we can see the notes that I've made as I've been working through here and so on. There is also a really cool thing here called Audience Tools. Now, if I click on Audience Tools, this is going to allow me to create a virtual Q&A that students can use on their cell phones, on their tablets, on their computers, etc. So if I click Start New, here at the top of the presentation students can view, you see that a URL comes up that students could put into their phone or whatever the case may be. Then when students have that, you simply click here to start this Q&A session. Now this Q&A session here is going to again be a separate window that you can see, but students can't. So you'll see now I have all sorts of windows going. You can see these two windows, this one and this one. Students can only see the one that's back here. So if a student asks a question, all right, so I don't understand why we need to watch the kitten video. Then over here, you will actually receive in the teacher view, you will see the questions that appear here. All right. So the questions are going to appear here for me, and I will have that option of choosing. So I hit submit. Then right over here, here's the question. Okay, that question has come up ready to go. Again, students can't see these two windows. They can only see what's going on here in the background. So they're seeing this. If I then want to address this question with a group, I can click present. And that whole question comes right up here for students to see. Okay, and it does tell them who asked the question. All right. In the question box that students have open, they can like or dislike the question so that I, as a teacher, here in my teacher view, know what's going on. This Q&A question or this audience participation tool is a great way to have students provide you feedback, give you questions without having to email you later. Again, the thing to keep in mind is that if you choose to utilize the question, so here I'm going to ask another question. Why do we have to do this? Okay, they submit the question. The question comes up here. But if I choose to present it, the whole class is going to see that. So here, why do we have to do this? Now everybody knows that I asked that question. So you want to be careful about which questions you do and do not present to the class. All right, your slideshow is done. You're ready to go. Obviously, you can assign this slideshow to students via Google Classroom by creating it to an assignment, like a materials assignment or a piece of a different type of assignment. But what if you want to publish it to the web, maybe put it on your Google site? Publishing to the web is a very simple process. With your slide all completed, you're going to go to File, and then you want to go to Publish to the web. When you click on Publish to the web, you have a couple of options. Option 1 is to create a link that you might share via email or something like that, which will allow students to see it, or whoever receives this. When you create a link, you can choose how often you want the slides to advance. You can also decide whether or not you want the slide to start immediately, if you want the slides to loop, etc. Your other option is to go to an embed system. This might be something where you're going to put it straight into a website. You want to embed it into some other sort of a presentation or something like that. Again, you can choose what size window, how often the slides are going to auto advance, and so on. If you do the link and you click publish, it says, are you sure you want to publish this selection? You click OK. There is your link. So now you can copy that link and then you can share that link to others. If you choose to embed, then you are going to copy this code and put it into the code for the web page or whatever that you're using. Either way, it's going to create the slideshow or the Google slideshow based upon the settings that you have created here. Hopefully this gets you going on Google Slides. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact us at EdTech. In the meantime, happy Googling.